I want to do an outfit change.
Please.
Okay.
You're currently flanked in denim.
It was looking good. Well, what about this? It's very robe-esque.
Yeah, it's
No.
giving me denim dojo.
Okay, is this too Steven Seagal?
Steven Seagal's wearing gold Tiffany necklaces. And we don't like Steven Seagal. We are not a fan of Steven
I
Seagal.
did
Can
not
you
know.
name one Steven Seagal movie?
No, but like, oh, here it is. Uh-oh.
Yeah, that looks rich. That looks bold. That looks like you're a podcaster.
Ah, there we go. Unrelated, I want to tell you about the show. I haven't started it yet, but it's called Overcompensating. Have you seen the trailers?
No, it doesn't apply to me. I don't overcompensate for anything. Anyway,
Hold
I
on.
talked to my landlord this morning just now. I'm just happy she's alive. She's pushing like 95.
So what are we gonna do?
Try to re-sign that lease at no increase next week.
Oh my God, Jason, there's a lot going on. Look, I'll just say this, family dynamics, it's a lot.
Of course, it's a lot. Jewish
Why?
families are complicated.
Jewish families are, look, we love each other, but it's like a little too much.
My dad's like, you should date an older guy. What? So that he can order for me?
No, it's he wants you to be taken care of. That's why he's
I can
saying
take care
that.
of myself.
Well, I know that, but that doesn't matter. I kind of do see you with someone older. Sorry to, I know you like the youngins, but
No, I like everybody. Be handsome and smell like detergent. And funny and smart and nice. Yep, that too.
yeah, so
Yeah.
you need someone in your Jason
But
adjacent.
doesn't everyone need someone in there adjacent? What do you,
Sometimes people want the opposite, complete opposite.
I don't know if that would
And
work.
maybe none of us know really what we want.
I don't know why I'm nervous today.
Me too, a little bit.
So we have a real person.
They've all been real.
They've all been real.
They've all been real. The outfit change, like normally I'm on my A game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Are you keeping your glasses on?
Listen,
What?
you tell that to Anna Wintour.
Ah,
Oh, it is.
Not tech savvy this morning.
so, you know what?
You're more than us, though. We can tell you that. I know
Yes.
for sure you are more tech savvy than the two of us.
I
It's a
usually
low
am.
bar. It's a low bar. Nice
How
to
you
meet
doing?
you.
Thank you for doing this. I
Sure.
can't thank
So
you enough.
excited.
I know your time is valuable, so we should just get into
Let's
it
kick
because
it
he's a
off.
busy guy. Welcome back to Hustle and Schmear. Today's guest is someone I've known since the first grade. His dad is a legend in the cosmetic surgery world, best known for the iconic butt lift, and Dr. B, Alex Blinski, who we have here today, is carrying the torch with a needle and a wink.
He's a doctor, a business owner, and the founder of Plump, one of the most in-demand aesthetic practices where faces are lifted, lines are blurred, and egos are gently bruised. Because if you don't want the truth, don't sit in his chair.
He's slicing, injecting, and finessing his way through foreheads, jawlines, and fragile self-esteem, and people love him for it. He's stylish, he's sharp, and that salt and pepper hair, honestly, it needs its own license.
He's got taste, he's got timing, and he's not afraid to tell you which side of your face is the stronger one. I think this side for me.
Yeah,
Okay.
probably. Please welcome Dr. Belinsky.
Welcome.
All right, welcome, Alex B.
Thanks, guys.
How you
Thanks.
doing?
That's a heck of an intro. I don't know how I'm going to follow it, but I'm going to try.
Wait, where are you right now?
I'm in Manhattan.
You are.
Yeah,
Wait,
I'm,
where are you based in Manhattan or Miami?
I'm based in Manhattan, and we have an office down in Brickell, down
No,
in Miami about every month.
you are. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, we're like twins. I feel like I do the same.
Liz
it's
is
great.
based in Brooklyn and in Sunny Isles, back and forth. So,
Yeah,
Not
it's
too
good.
shabby.
Oh my God, Alex, that's what I say all the time. Wait, am I calling you Alex or am I calling you Dr. B? Am I calling you Dr. Blinsky? What do you go
For
by?
for this, I'm cool with whatever you want.
Okay.
I'm calling him
So
Dr. B.
what? You're calling him? Okay, I like Dr. B. Dr. B is cool. Jason told me that I think you guys have, well, you've known each other since the first grade and you both grew up in Miami. What was that like? What was it like being there in that time with your dad as this prominent plastic surgeon?
I mean, Miami's changed a lot since Jason and I grew up down there. It's gone through kind of a renaissance, but growing up was very like a suburban feel a little bit when we were growing up. So like an era, we were outdoors all the time. I don't know if you know this, but the Salstein triplets were like phenoms of athletes growing up. So
Really?
yeah, they played everything. They could do everything. So everybody was like, "What are we gonna do
Me
about these
included, me
kids?
included. But
Yeah,
yeah,
what
me
are we
included.
gonna do about these guys?" So I mean, Miami was great growing up. Helped curate like an interesting background for me, kind of being from the family I'm from. My dad in aesthetics and my mom and that side of the family very into like design and culture. So
Oh, okay.
I ended up,
As I said before to Liz, I remember my first sleepover at Alex's house. He had a big
Oh,
white house in Coconut Grove, and it was the first time I was exposed to real contemporary art. He had
right.
a big art collection. I don't even know what they were, but I just remember seeing paintings on the walls and thinking, yeah, these are important paintings.
yeah, we had a huge modern house kind of before its time in Miami. It's
Okay.
still there today. We haven't lived there in quite a long time, and we used to rent it out to do shoots for magazines and
Oh,
things like that. So it kind of exposed me to a lot of that world of something I'd never seen before. So preparing me, I guess, for what we're at
for
later,
this.
I guess. Yes, I mean, I didn't know what I wanted to do, and then I kind of ended up the trials and tribulations of med school and all that stuff ended up in eventually.
But what
Okay.
was it like sitting at the dinner table with your dad talking about his day?
I
Like,
mean,
did you
I
have to
think if
do?
you talk to any surgeon or anyone that had a parent that was a physician, it's like dinner table conversations are unique, and also like the phone's going off the whole time, and you just, I mean, you pick up on stuff and you see how their mannerisms are dealing with patients and things like that over the years, and you definitely take some of that home with you. Um, and I guess it prepares you for what you get into, especially because it's like medicine's like almost a generational thing, passed down, passed down, passed down. So you find that families tend to roll in that kind of job all the time.
Yeah. So it sounds like you sort of knew that you were going in that path, but
I didn't know,
you
you
did
know,
what else?
I went to college. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Very much so like yes, sir type of kid.
Hmm.
My
Hmm.
dad was like, you should try want to go to med school or anything like that at the time. But I always joke about it that I was like, what should I do for my major? And he was like, you should do this. And I was like, okay. And then he was like,
Oh,
yeah. And I was like, what should I do after school? He's like, you should do this. And I was like, okay. But I think
And
that
what was that? What
happens.
was he telling you to do? What was he telling you to
All the hard
do?
yeah.
stuff, crazy, crazy, from that generation being like, you should be a chemistry major. I'm like, that sounds great.
My God.
And then I went to like my chem class and I was like, this is a horrible idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I
No.
mean, my dad still claims today that he's not a doctor because of failing organic chemistry. I have a feeling there's a little bit more reason why my dad's not a doctor, but that's just one of them.
Yeah. That's just what I was like, all right, cool. And I changed majors like I think like four times.
You did?
Mhm.
Okay.
Where did you
Oh,
go to
yeah.
school? I mean,
University
we
of
went to Oliver together, so we went to the same school since first grade all the way through high school. So I've known
Oh, okay.
Alex all the way through.
Wow.
yeah.
Okay. And then what was college?
Lucky me, lucky him.
Exactly. I'm like, hey, that's up to you. University of Florida. Uh
Oh, okay. So
yeah.
you stayed in state, but
I stayed in
grade
state,
school.
but it's kind of like out of state because you're
Peter.
so exactly. And then I did my middle in Grand Cayman at St. Matthew's,
Oh,
which is
okay.
like honestly those foreign medical schools are like in the Caribbean. They're kind of cutthroat
Oh,
because
my sister went to Grenada, so same
yeah,
thing.
it's
She's
very competitive because you have like a
very.
lot of kids who had trouble getting into traditional medical schools, and then you get down there and it's like, I mean, it's like whoever survives survives, right? And
Right.
then you still got
Right.
to pass all the same tests that you need
Of
to get into
course.
your residency, which is in the States. Did that. I loved living in Cayman. It creates a different kind of vibe for yourself and your life. Then I ended up bouncing around in the States for my rotations because that's kind of what you do. And I took all those horrible, horrible tests.
You always thinking about kind of going, because I know, like, at least this is what I learned from my sister. It's sort of more general, and then later on or in your rotations is where you're figuring out where you want to focus.
I knew I didn't want to be in the hospital. Um,
Yeah.
but I
The
wasn't
lighting alone,
the
Alex,
lighting
the
alone,
lighting.
that fluorescent lighting. So
Uh,
I mean, honestly, that probably played a role for me. And like when I was a resident, one of my things was trying to renovate the call rooms because I was such a crazy person. I was like a big thing of
you
mine,
needed to like redo the decor thing.
lobbying for money the whole time when I was a resident, trying to get like 20
Beginning of
grand.
entrepreneurship. The beginning of
Yeah,
entrepreneurship started.
I didn't know that I was so crazy back then. Right now,
Right.
now I know I'm a little crazy. And then I ended up landing in a surgical residency because getting residency is not the easiest thing in the world. And I would take anybody that would take me, and I'm a hard worker, so I just did that for a little while. And then I
Where did
ended
Wow.
that end? Where
that
did you end up?
that was in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Not recommended. Um,
Okay.
Great
Unless you
granted,
want to
choice.
work with Dunler Mifflin and be a paper
I
boss,
was
that's
right.
what we
I
always.
was I
Okay.
was in Harrisburg, so like
Oh,
okay.
okay.
But so I did that, and my hair turned white, and I that was a tough year for me. I learned a
Yeah.
lot, and then I got a transfer position in family medicine, and I got to start over. Lucky me, medicine in Hoboken, and I was like, New York, not so bad. So I was like,
Mm.
the city with a childhood friend actually of Jason and I's. I did family medicine there, and it was like great. I know what I wanted out of it, and I was going towards an urgent care route because I wanted to
Oh,
own and run my own urgent care. It was the
so you
Renaissance.
always did you always know that that was the end goal to kind of create your own
No,
situation?
I didn't know that working for somebody so hard now, and I guess fortunately or unfortunately, sometimes people have to work for me now. But, it's
But you
challenging.
get to control.
Challenging, and I for a couple of people, and I've worked for some really good people and some really tough people. I just wanted the autonomy kind of on my own and kind of be creative on my own because I like doing little projects and things like that, which may drive
Right.
some people crazy, but for me it's like fun. um
So how did you go from because family medicine is, I think, just a great focus. It's sort of all encompassing. How did you go from that to then ultimately Plump? Plump is gorgeous. If you haven't been, Plump is gorgeous. I just
In
have to
your
say.
own words, Alex, what would you say plump is? Define plump, and then let's go back to Liz's question
okay,
on the genesis.
Plump is the first of its kind aesthetic injectable and skincare center. And we opened it with the vision of creating an approachable brand that has consistency and safety for the masses, right? My thought process when I first was exposed to kind of injectable aesthetics is that everybody should have kind of access to care like we think about regular medicine. So access to aesthetic injectables that's approachable. We were kind of the first people to think about this and try and take that cold doctor environment and make it kind of a warm environment. And that's really, really challenging because at the end of the day, we're sticking needles in your face, right? So, right, that's going to be a cold
By
experience.
all means, stick away.
Yeah, for real. Plump it up.
So we really focused on how are we going to make this happen. And so be it. My dad was like, when I was a resident, he said, during your vacation, let's go do this aesthetic course. He's just being a dad, right? So he sat with me and he doesn't need to do that stuff. But we did the course. And I'm like type of kid that just took everything running. And I started doing these treatments kind of a la carte as I could when I had my license. And that kind of slowly grew to where I rented my own space after residency, urgent care and doing aesthetics on the side. And this was over 10 years ago. I met my current business partner, who is my neighbor, and she's a civil engineer and designer. So we were kind of like, oh, wow, this is kind of crazy, right? Like, you can help me do this, I can help you do this, and together we can kind of create this. Kind of how Plump started.
Okay. And where did it launch? Was it in New York
It
or was it
launched
in
in
Miami?
Chelsea. Because
Oh,
it's
wow.
really hard to sign a lease in Manhattan, a commercial lease as a tenant with not a lot of credit. And out of
Okay.
med school, I have to guarantee this lease. It's really expensive. The landlord tells me a lot of things.
And it's Chelsea. I mean, Chelsea is a great
Hmm.
location.
Now,
So,
did you go about it where, okay, you have this idea with your father, and then you say, look, let's get a business plan together, let's run some numbers, this is how we have to do it? Or was
This
it
is
like,
2014.
okay.
That kind of process was not part of the thought process with me. We had someone else that was involved in the business that helped us do a pro forma, which I didn't know what that was at the time, or to understand if the numbers make sense, because we started having all these other professionals shadowing me and learning from me, and we're like, well, why don't we try to expand on this and make this kind of a bigger thing? That's kind of how Plump started. We were like, let's get a retail lease, which is not like this thing in the world. Getting an office space for lease is like very simple. scheme of
Okay.
things to retail. So we went ahead and looked at 1 billion retail spaces and were able to kind of connect with one that made sense for us. And the landlord was willing to take a risk on us, right? In all reality.
And how long was that lease?
That is Manhattan on a retail lease, less than 10 years is uncommon. That lease was a 7-year lease.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah. So
That
we
is
David and I signed our life away to Rick Caruso for 10 years. We
You get
understand
it.
that 10 years
Yeah.
for retail, that's what it is.
All of
And
our
yeah.
because like him there, and if they
Yeah.
put someone in, they want someone that's committed. They don't want to have to deal with this five
In and
years of
out.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
all of our other leases are 10 years. That was our
Okay.
only 7 year. And I mean, that's kind of the nature of the beast, right? And like the big landlord, the tougher the lease. Like our lease in Miami is like a disaster. It's very
Oh,
challenging. Yeah.
in Brickell?
Yeah. It's with the biggest
Yeah.
landlord in the country, right? So you're
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
with Kimco. It's challenging for sure.
That's a lot.
So you open your first Plump in Chelsea in 2015 or 2014 within the
No,
year?
this is no. So like 15, I meet Christina, which is current business partner. And
Mhm.
it takes us about a year and a half to kind of find the right space and figure out all the dynamics of what we wanted to do and the design and everything, which changed 1,000 times. Even
Oh,
since we
really?
opened, it's changed a lot, right?
Did
And
you
to find the
have
space.
you with that, or
Well,
it was just the
she's
two?
a designer, but
Okay, so
like
she
we
was
didn't
handling.
know what we wanted, and also our budget was completely different than it is today, right? Bare bones, open our first space, hit the ground running. It was super, super busy. And then, as is due, you run into your first problem, right? We had a
Mhm.
massive, massive flood that shut us down for 3 months.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
it was just crazy. So, I mean, but that someone told me once, a good friend of mine, his father told me that you're always going to be dealing with three problems in business. They're going to be rotating. You're going to extinguish one and another one will take its place. So, whether that's like a simple thing like a patient issue or something like a lease issue or something like a flood, and you got to always be ready for a pipe to burst because it's going to happen. Like, it's a
Okay.
guarantee.
And how do you kind of like to me, being a doctor is probably enough alone in terms of like what's in your head, but you kind of have to serve two functions. You've got the doctor lane and you've got the entrepreneurial like business lane. What are tips and tricks for you balancing that?
You have to have the two different sides of your brain. When I'm clinical and I'm patient facing, like, am I have to do administrative stuff? Yes. But I try to kind of
Mhm.
limit a little bit because two sides of my brain work completely differently and they can't work together. So segment it a little bit, it's really important. And having my non-clinical days where I'm doing administrative stuff, looking at
Mhm.
inventory, thinking about things like on a scale, thinking maybe about financials sometimes is going to be different
Mhm.
too, where we might be talking about creative ideas for the business and then a different day talking about financials because if you do them both at the same time you need to like take a break and reset your brain, have a cup of coffee, I don't know, right? Like it's very
Yeah,
challenging, yeah.
with you on the coffee.
So that can be
Um,
hard.
Yeah.
and what's one mistake early on building your practice that you end up learning the biggest lesson?
It's valuable,
Hmm.
right? and
Don't give it up. We'll take that. We'll
and
take that.
and having real rules and a good structure is important, and it's harder to make them later because you're backtracking, and those rules that you things you put in place that you think might work 10 years ago, they're
Hmm.
hard to change over the years, just get
Are you
stuck
talking
with you.
about are you talking more about policy and procedures, or are you talking more about boundaries where look, when Dr. B is doing this, don't look at him in the eye?
I think it's both. Startup business boundaries are kind of a little bit lower, right? People are more involved in your personal life. Okay with that. I have no problem with that. Some procedures, you have no clue what you're doing when you start. If you think you do, you're completely wrong.
Was your dad sort of your guiding light in a way? Like, were you able to kind of lean on him, or what were your resources when you
So
were?
my dad is vital still to the business, I think,
Mhm.
more from a consultation and like to him about cases
Yeah.
process.
Oh, okay.
We don't, I'm not bounce off my father as much for like business stuff.
Oh, okay.
um I feel like there's too many chefs in the kitchen sometimes when you're asking like so many people, like, what do I do with this? What do I do with that? And really, it's like your C-suite team to kind of just make those decisions together.
Right. And no offense to senior Dr. B, but he's got one practice in Florida and is limited to probably what you've been exposed to growing multiple practices, right?
It's a different business completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. You're
So
stopping.
I want to get into a little bit real quick business wise. What's it like when you're raising money? What's it like for Dr. B to go in and ask people for money, to raise money,
I've
to
never
grow?
raised any money.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, well, there we go. Okay, so self-funded, and if you thought you're coming in for round A, B, or C, think again.
Beat it.
I've talked to people about it, and I've gone through the process, but we've never raised.
And people have approached you and you've denied. You just want to hold control or you're not ready to expand. And also one other question. Do you consider yourself still a startup, or what year are we in Plump where you felt
That's a tough question.
I'm full of them.
I always look at ourselves as a startup because we're small. So I think I look at ourselves as small business, right? Whether we have, almost 50 employees, we're under that. But whether we have, 30 to 50 employees or we have, 10 employees, we're still small business, and kind of small business pains that you would have are always going to be there. There's no change in kind of, because we've been open for 8 years, our pain of small business is different. It's still the same.
How did you guys pivot during COVID? Or did COVID affect you in a positive or negative light?
So there was in the aesthetics industry, there's a post-COVID boom. So we were pretty busy right after COVID, after we were able to do procedures from COVID. And I think it like shed some new light on the industry. And I think that it was like a big rocket for the industry for a while. I do think that that's kind of slowed down. We're pretty far out from COVID now.
Because I'm doing it right now
Yes.
on Zoom, looking at yourself, and you're like, we got to work. Okay. Fair
Exactly.
enough.
Oh, which, by the way, after a few more questions, we're going to get into a personal consultation
Oh,
of what
yeah.
you think Liz and
Get
I
outta
need.
here. Yeah, that's crazy.
But okay, wait. I also want to get a little bit into the personal life. But before we do that, can we get into trend? I want to get Dr. B's sort of thought on trends in beauty. What are you loving right now? What needs to stay away forever? I want to hear all the details.
I have this conversation all the time about trends and TikTok, basically. And I think that TikTok is like, it's fantastic. I love TikTok. Okay. But I think it's kind of like a platform that there's a lot of misinformation on. Whether it's something like, I know that everyone wants to do an NAD drip right now, right? Like whether it's something
What is that? What is that? What is it?
NAD, it's like an anti-aging precursor that helps you like live longer or something. And like, I don't know that
everyone's a biohacker.
Yeah,
everyone's
a fucking biohacker, and no one knows what they're doing. No one has any background in anything. These guys that are on like Netflix and stuff that look like they're gonna live forever, they look insane.
They look see-through. The one guy, I think
they all do. They look insane.
Oh, the one that's spending $2 million.
Like that wears sunglasses all the time on these.
Dave Asprey.
Oh,
yeah,
he looks like he's from the future.
Sun's his taint. That's his biggest vitamin D thing. I've always told Liz that we're gonna sun our taints in the Keep This Game beat.
Yeah, I was like, this guy's like in Boca sunning his taint and looks like he like traveled back in time. He looks like a washing machine. I don't even know what's going on.
So like,
this is great. I love hearing this from a real educated doctor who these people have no medical degrees whatsoever, maybe allegedly.
Well, I want scientifically peer reviewed information.
Right.
And like I know that's challenging because you need things to happen and trials happen and then to retrospectively look at it. But like I have people calling me asking for NAD drips all the time, and I'm like, some people just want snake oil, and that's because of TikTok. Right? It's misinformation on TikTok. So
all right, it's time for me to science the science here. This is a viral TikTok that talks about some woman who got 12 syringes of HA filler and how it's never gone away. Look how much of it's actually in the lips. Keep that in mind. This is a very biased take on a complex situation, and this is an anecdotal evidence. So this is one patient that had this happen. It doesn't mean it happens to everybody. That's kind of crazy. I guarantee you I'd have patients pay for it to last this long, but it doesn't. I've had MRIs of some of my patients. I can't see all the filler. It's gone. It dissolves over time. Now, again, this is from a plastic surgeon right here, so they're biased because they want to cut and operate, and I'm biased because I want to inject and make you pretty simply. There's so many different factors that go into this that I can't get into it in one video, but rheology and type of filler used, how hydrophobic it is, and where it's placed play one of the biggest roles in understanding this. It's not as simple as one patient had an MRI, they show some filler or extra filler or whatever it is, and that's that. That's crazy.
There's lots of stuff on TikTok that's hot right now, and there's lots of surgical misinformation on TikTok. And
Do
there's
you feel that you have a duty and a purpose to?
older I get and the whiter my hair gets, the more I want to kind of just speak my mind. But
Yeah.
I tread lightly. It can be very combative on TikTok, which I've run into before. I'm not afraid of that, but like I don't have to, who has time for that?
Yeah,
Right.
who has time for that?
But you've been on TikTok and social media pretty prevalently lately.
Filler 5 years ago. We're doing a half lip. There's none left, so all that mumbo jumbo on TikTok, and that should last her 6 to 12 months. It's also one of the oldest fillers and the most used in America. This gel is going to draw in water, clear gel. There's really nice cohesivity to it, so it likes to stay together. You can see it now right there. I'm going to rub on it a little. This is FDA'd for the lips. There's a lot of different products out there. It's important to choose one that fits your face, as well as one that your injector is really familiar with. At the end of the day, it needs to be easy for you and for me.
And I just wanted to say, how has that been deciding that now you're going to be not maybe the face of Plump, but you really put yourself out there? Obviously, Liz and I were doing our homework last night. We really love how you project and talk to the audience, and you're articulate, you're informative, you're educational. You're not giving us bullshit. We don't feel like we're getting sold.
Well, just because I was like, okay, you're not doing jazz hands and TikTok dances, which I appreciate from my doctor. I feel like I can go here and he actually knows
I
what the
don't
heck he's talking.
I don't get why there's some really, really prominent physicians that listen, like once in a while, the staff will make me do some
Oh,
skit with
of
them, right?
course, that's
And I have no problem with
right.
that. But like, there's some really prominent physicians whose following is based on them doing handstands.
Yeah.
I just,
Which is insane
I don't
to
get,
me. That's
listen, I don't get that. And that's not my vibe. And that's who, if you want to go do your fucking surgery, go for it.
no, but I appreciate it because I
Listen,
think
I'm a little funky. I get it. Everyone in my field is, okay? Like
yeah.
everyone is. But I'm a little funky and I'm okay with that. But like I'm not doing jazz hands for your
Yeah.
injection.
But I guess, did you have to look in the mirror and say, you know what? It is 2025. Business is on social media. Did you have to say, you got to do this? Or were you just game for it because that's your personality?
I've been on socials for so long that like it almost comes natural.
Sculpture is basically suture material that's shredded really fine, and it is suspended in solution when we mix it. So instead of thinking of things like a powder that dissolves in solution, we really need to think about the physiology behind sculpture and that it's suspended in solution. So we have it here. It's all packed down at the bottom of the vial. You can turn it upside down, nothing happens. You're going to pop the top. Again, explaining this in simple terms to patients is going to be the most important thing. And then the nuances of sculpture, it's probably the hardest injection to do, but the easiest once you figure out how to do it. You need to think about where it can go on label, right? Nothing under the eyes, nothing around the mouth, nothing in circular or sphincter muscle types.
That's part of the game is like just at least being comfortable in front of the camera. It's like, oh, how were you able to ramble this stuff off? And I'm like, I don't know. I just like speak.
Well, we're learning, so we're going
Comes
to take
natural to Dr. B.
I'm trying.
What would you give advice to somebody who's going in for the first time to get a consultation and maybe get stick pricked?
So
yeah, Botox.
you never know who you're going to see. And I would take everything with a grain of salt. And I like to look at patients that come to see me, at least, like you need to understand that you're going to see a business, number one, right? That they have to make money for their time that you spend with them.
Mhm.
Number two is that the provider you're seeing is likely going to be trying to coerce you into the grand pool that they are in, right? And there are different ways to get in that pool. You can put your toes in the pool and check out the water. You can come to the pool and just look at the water, or you can like do a cannonball, right? And like there's all different types of people, especially as a first time coming into the practice or a practice to get their evaluation. And you need to decide where you are in that kind of thing. But keep in mind that Dr. B is in the back of the pool on a raft with a margarita, trying to like be like, "Hey, the water's warm," right? So
Right.
like I think that's
Right.
like an important thing to think about when you're going into a consultation. That kind of algorithm and rhetoric is in our heads, you know.
And jump in. It's okay. The water is
The
warm.
water's warm, and like I always tell people, if you're not ready, I do like to try and get you kind of in the pool a little bit so that you can get accustomed with how the process is, and maybe it's not so bad. It's not as cold as you thought. Some people will sometimes go slowly into the pool, they'll just walk in, and others will just jump in. So I think that's important to think about when you're going to see a provider and listening to their feedback and what their recommendations are.
I thought Jews don't really love the water, so I'll just stay.
This is
The water.
Hey,
The
this is why it's a
pool.
pool.
Yeah, exactly. The pool.
That's
Not
true. That's true. That's a good point. You won't find me in the ocean, but I'll take a little dunk in the pool. Good point.
Jason sends scary videos to me of all the sharks outside in Sunny Isles. I'm like, for the love, now I
No,
can never
I'm
go
on
in the.
board, Jay. I'm on board with you. Okay.
You won't find if someone says, "Are you want to come on the boat?" It's like, "Do you have a bathroom?" and "Are we coming home in 2 hours?"
No,
Because that's all.
the boat needs to have a galley. Okay. If it doesn't have that, I'm not coming.
Okay, but his buddies and you guys all have boats with galleys, so I'm there. Okay, that I can be there.
We'll go on Dr. B's boat. Okay. I want to get into women and men in their 30s and 40s.
Okay.
What should we be, and 50s, you're right. What should we be doing now? Is it too late to get started for some? I have some friends who are fully in the pool. They're wading in, they're dunking. And then I have other friends who are thinking about dipping toes
Yeah.
in.
Is the thought process to be every other month, every 3 months, touch-ups, or is it we'll see you once a year and we're done? Like, what do you recommend?
I think it's to each their own a little bit. I think there's some nuances to it about men, women, porcelain, masculine kind of beauty. And I do think like if we're thinking about Botox, you need to segment that out, and skincare treatments segment out, and fillers segment out. They're kind of three different categories. And I don't think it's ever too late to get started. I do think that there is a time if you let it go too far that you're going to be like, damn, I wish I did that before, because it's going to be so hard to catch up, and we're going to be like, just get surgery, right? When it comes to feminine beauty, um, especially in South Florida, I mean, it's going to be a little different than New York, but it's a little bit extra, if you will. It always was that way. This is nothing new. Um, but your injectable neuromodulators like Botox are going to last you about 3 months on average. And they're going to change all the time. Sometimes you get 2 months, sometimes you get 5 months, right? It's just so many factors that play into how well those neuromodulators act on you that time that they were injected. I like to think about women, if you want to really have like that more porcelain skin from a neuromodulator perspective, think about every 3, 4 months, right?
And that way you're not flying to Korea to look like a doll,
Right,
right?
exactly. And then you can add on all the like skincare stuff, because I do think that's really important, because the Botox is going to affect the muscle, and you still need to pay attention to the skin, like how we're going to get the skin, which is the covering of the muscle, to look good, right? And take care of it. So there are tons of options for that: lasers, energy-based devices, at-home treatments that you can do that really go far, especially if you're doing them over time. Botox
Is
did myself for over a decade.
I'm Dr. B, and I'm a clinical educator at Plump. And today I'm going to tell you where I get Botox. I'm 41 years old, and I really get concerned about my forehead wrinkles, which I have none of right now, my 11 lines, and a little bit around my eyes. You can see I'm pretty tight right now because I just got Botox, but I treat my forehead muscles to help reduce the signs of aging. These results last me about 3 months to 4 months. Next, I treat my glabella, which is untreated right now. It's being treated next week. I usually use a 5-poke technique for someone to inject Botox in my 11 lines. Next, I like to soften my crow's feet. They need it badly right now. I do 12 units, 6 on each side around my eyes. So I do about 12 units here. I do 16 units here And I do 16 units usually in my forehead. Everybody's dose is different. That's my dose, and that's what I get. And it keeps me looking.
I was just about to say, is there one treatment that if you had to choose one, what is the most bang for your buck?
Botox.
Oh, okay, good. There we go. On it.
Yeah.
And do you consider Botox, Juvederm all in the same category, or are you saying botulism?
I'm saying like a neuromodulator, right? Botox Cosmetic is the #1 used brand in America. Most
When I
recognized.
go to Alex, I'll say, freeze my face, make me Meg Ryan and Nicole Kidman, and then that's a neuromodulator,
Right,
right?
that's a neuromodulator. And the thing is, if you want a little bit more, like I have gray hair, right? My hair is not dyed, right? So you can look at that how you want to. It could be a little bit more rugged if you want. I sometimes for more like a masculine appearance, you might not do your Botox every 4 months. You might do it a little bit less, so you still have a little bit of wrinkles and stuff like. And people in broadcasting might do that, right? Where they need to keep kind of that natural appearance, and they do it kind of when they're not on TV. Is a good example.
Right. I still want to be called daddy, so I'll leave like 2 lines in my forehead, and
Ends on the scenario.
Depends on the scenario. Also, side note, I appreciate a salt and pepper. Don't dye your hair. You know what
No,
I
I'm
mean?
not.
It just-
I would never, because that's my look, and
yeah.
I like my look, and um, you know,
Cruella.
it's just like you have to think about like what your outward appearance you want, what your goal is, right? I mean, we can do also procedures to men that make them more masculine appearing as well, right? Whether that's widening the jawline, giving a more chiseled cheek, or widening the chin. A lot of these sayings like, "Oh, he looks like he could take a punch," right? That's because they have that hard, strong jawline with the wide chin, and like we do procedures like that all the time.
What do most people misunderstand about aesthetics and injectables?
Everyone thinks it's overdone, but I think everyone else needs to get a mirror. Like, I mean, like I gotta walk around and look at some of this stuff. No,
Oh.
it can be like, I mean, like people, I feel people aren't in tune with themselves. I think you see this a lot in younger people. Like, I'll
Mm.
have someone that's like, "What do you think about like this just showed up last night, like some wrinkle, right?" And I'm like, "That didn't show up last night. You've had that since you were 20, right? And you've been making that face the entire time since you were 20. You just didn't notice because you were right."
Right.
So like, and then like as time goes on, you kind of pick up more on your personal cues. You're like, "Oh, I do have this, I do have that, and this bothers me. That doesn't bother me."
Yeah.
And how do you handle clients that have unrealistic expectations?
Coming in from TikTok
It's
and
a
like, you know,
it's a
how do
sit
you
down
manage?
and it's a conversation, and you get as far as you can explaining the scenario to them, right? There's nothing else we can do. We can try and show somebody the light, and they can either see it or they don't, and there's a lot of body dysmorphic stuff going on, and to be sensitive to that. But at the end of the day, and this happened recently, I turned someone away
Mm.
because I didn't think the procedure was safe.
Oh.
They went somewhere else, got it done. No problems. That's okay. Right. I just was outside my protocol. I stick to my protocols. And they came back and told me I just went somewhere. Like they came back for their Botox, so they got it somewhere else. And they just told me I just went somewhere else. So like went somewhere else and got it done instead.
But in the long run, you know, you're sort of keeping your practice for
So,
longevity and not for a
totally.
quick,
Totally.
yeah.
But it's like, so then you have to ask yourself the ethical question of, would it be safer to get that procedure that they got done with you under your experienced hand, or to some random person that they went to
Right.
that you knew was a high risk procedure and they just went and did it? So like, are you ethically responsible to have done that procedure for them because it would have taken them out of someone else's hands who's less experienced?
I mean, that's a lot of
Oh,
proactive thinking, like Minority Report. It's like,
That's unfortunately, that's like kind of how you think sometimes with this
yeah,
space.
it's tough.
Yeah,
It's a tough call. Okay, well, talking about sort of unrealistic expectations, we see a lot of celebrities, and the latest, at least in my mind, is Kris Jenner. I don't know if you've seen the photos,
of
but
course.
she looks,
congratulations, Stephen Levine. Good work.
well, we're only talking about Dr. B today, but what do you think she did? What can we do that doesn't require slicing and dicing your
And
face
who
open?
are most people bringing to your attention that they want to look like, or they want a nose like
Oh,
this or a mouth like that?
So Jay, that's less common now where they're
mm,
comparing to someone else. That I think people are like more about like themselves. Um, when it comes to what like Kris Jenner did, everything,
hmm
right? You need to remember that this person has unlimited funding, is the way I look at it, right? So they try everything. And I always say a lot of times that we never know what worked the best, like at keeping surgery out of it for a second. We never know what did, work the best. It's that the combination of everything has this synergistic effect. And we never
Hmm.
know which one kind of, you know, took off. Was it the laser? Was it the microneedling? I don't know, right? There are some
Or the
treatments,
combo of all
right?
17. Yeah.
There are some treatments that I like more than others for myself, but you need to really play with what works best for your skin and see what results you can get. But when you have unlimited funding or access to care, you try a bunch of everything. And now, obviously, the surgery plays a big role, but I guarantee you there was some other stuff done. And like she's still pretty early out from surgery, so there is some swelling and things like that that's still residual for like a while. So let's see what she looks like in about a year's time, and we might be like, oh, like it's a very, normal result.
Although she looks great. So
She looks
kudos
great.
to
Well,
her.
that leads us into a great segue of fix our face.
Oh, I'm nervous.
So this
Oh,
a little question. Okay,
glasses off. It's getting serious.
Liz will start first. The
I
question for Liz,
will.
yeah, you're gonna start first. Just
Oh,
one thing that Liz could do to
take a look.
that you would say, hey, this would
Jen,
work, even if it's laser, pico, or dermabrasion, microneedling.
I didn't even know what Pico was until recently, so I'm learning.
Well, there's a lot of different lasers, and they all work a little bit differently, right?
Okay.
Um, I love lasers as a kind of standalone to help rejuvenate the skin. I do a laser like once a quarter. Uh,
Which one?
I
Which
As in
one?
Fraxel or like
I
that,
do a
like
fractionated laser. We have one in the offices called LaserMD that I
Oh,
really like. The reason I
okay.
own that device is because it has a low consumable cost, which means doesn't cost us a lot to run it. The device costs a lot of money, but doesn't cost a lot to run it, which is great for the business once you pay it off. Um, Low downtime and just makes your skin glowy, right?
Lay's MD.
Yeah, there's a bunch of
Right.
lasers like LaserMD. LaserMD is one of them. Like Halo, Moxie, those are common names for other lasers that are similar, right? I
Okay.
think if you do something that's a little too light, you're not going to get kind of what you want out of it. You're going to be a little bit underwhelmed.
Morpheus one time, and I have to say I did not like it, and it
So,
was it hurt so much that I didn't go back. I didn't go
like
back.
RF, that's an RF microneedling.
Okay.
They get lumped into like this kind of RF microneedling as one, and they're not all equal. Like lasers are also different. RFs are also different too. Our
Mm-hmm.
Morpheus is kind of the strongest of the group and has the least control. And the technology behind it is really complicated. I'm not going to go deep into the technology right now, but it definitely hurts more because the way the energy is delivered. Whereas some of the
Mm-hmm.
newer devices that are radio frequency microneedling deliver energy completely differently and have much more control over where the needles are placed in the depth. So the pain level is not nearly as bad. You might tell me a Morpheus is like an 8 out of 10. I don't know. Um,
Yeah.
and the newer devices are like a 5 or a 6.
Oh, okay.
It's a bit less
Better.
heat. Yeah. I love those for like some skin tightening and things like that. It's really there's only so many non-invasive devices that can do some skin tightening, and that's one of them.
Okay. Well,
When it's coming to personal stuff for you guys,
yeah.
Liz, I mean, like, your skin looks great.
Yeah.
Always think it's important to do upkeep and like making sure you have a good regimen at home. It looks like you've probably dabbled a little bit, maybe.
Dabbled a little, but
Yeah,
not a lot.
not a
Not a
lot.
lot.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I always think like keeping up with.
Busted.
No, we're not busted.
No, I know. Amazingness, right? Dr. B is saying you look fabulous, so kudos to you.
No, but I mean, he has to. He's on the pod. We want some real advice because I'm sure you hopped on here and you looked at both of our faces and you're like, "Ay,
Well, here's what I want to know.
there's
Every
a lot to
every
do."
time I get Botox here, they always tell me I need to put it here. And it's like, are they just selling me or do I need to put it here so my eyebrows don't droop?
What I'll tell you is that you don't have to. I only treat my forehead often. Now, some people will have a lot of overlapping muscles. And again, you need to try it and see how it works for you. If you feel like it didn't do enough, then you got to add in the other area. And sometimes you
I
can look
don't
a little
know.
funky without adding in the other area. Now, that's sometimes. I think that, like what you just showed me, I think if you just treat your forehead, I think you'd be fine.
Yeah, Dr. B, I don't want to look like a Shar, so it's time.
All right. Well, make an appointment at Plump.
That's right.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, where can we find Plump in Miami, and where can we find Plump in New York?
So in New York, we have 4 locations in Manhattan. We have one in Brooklyn
Oh,
and
wow.
one in Hoboken, which is
Oh.
in New Jersey. So New York's very easy to find. We're all over the place for street level, Soho, Tribeca, Uptown, and in the heart of the West Village. Um,
Oh, you're in West. Is that new?
the
West
West Village
Village?
is new. The West Village is new. Yeah.
Okay.
Congratulations,
Nice.
Mazel Tov. Are you
Mazel.
going to every one, checking on them every week,
Yeah,
or
I
are
mean,
you busy?
our team is kind of awesome. Super self-sufficient group of really smart people. It's a mixture of nurse practitioners, nurses, and PAs. Right, we do lots of roundtables to kind of continue our education together and figure out what makes the most sense for all of us from a learning perspective. So, and then in Miami, we're in Mary Brickell Village, across the street from Soul Cycle. Killer
Good look.
location. Yeah, it's right next to Publix. It's pretty busy. So you can
Yeah.
get a
Awesome.
pub sub and then come over. Uh,
How often are you down in Miami?
so I'm there every 30 days, give or take,
Mm.
just to kind of hang out, check on things, and see if the team needs anything down there. We're led by a pretty strong team down there. They kind of run the show.
Now I want to get in because you said you're back and forth, and I feel this is a challenge too. While you're going back and forth, while you're running a business of multiple location, how does that impact your personal life? Also, you're surrounded by beauty. Does that infiltrate your relationship
Yeah.
status?
Are you ever on a date and you're like thinking, this person needs a little something?
Like, how do you separate that out?
I mean, I definitely think it influences your personal life big time.
It,
I'm going to Miami like a commute to work, right?
okay.
So I do it at either the very early hours or the very late hours. I'm kind of a night owl, so I usually like to do the late hours.
Mm.
Yeah, I just go to work for the day, like in Manhattan, and then I'll hop on a plane at 8 o'clock at night, land in Miami, go to bed, wake up, and go to work. And I think that's the beauty of staying on the East Coast and the time and everything.
Yeah.
And then when I'm ready to
Yeah.
come home, I do the same thing. So it's not, I don't make it look like in my head that I'm traveling for something. I just go down and do my thing like it's a 2 hour, 3 hour commute and then move on with my life. And I think that's really
That's fun.
made it easy for me to do the commute
Mhm.
often. And
Mhm.
once in a while, I'll have a bad experience with flying, but that happened recently. But for the most
Okay.
part, it's pretty straightforward. So that's how I kind of like segment that. As far as personal life, I mean, you're a business owner, you don't have a personal life. That's the way it works. Like you have to, if people watching this think that they're going to start a business and have a personal life, they're sorely mistaken. I have no problem
Hmm.
with that. I really enjoy doing and creating. But like going on dates, what are you talking about? No one has time for that, right?
Oh my God. Okay. I appreciate that honesty because I think we hear a lot about work-life balance and doing it all. And I don't,
Life
that's
balance is working for somebody.
right.
Our whole business model is based on work life balance for our employees, where a full time employee is only 4 days a week. So you basically have a 3 day weekend every weekend, or you have a day off during the week. So, like, that's kind of the mode that we and the model that we built. And
I like that schedule. I think I'll be clocking in
to Plump,
at 12 tomorrow.
I mean, I work 8 days a week, right? I'm working
Right.
all the time and I work till midnight every night. And,
Oh
Right.
my gosh.
8 days a week and 25 hours a day,
yeah, I
right?
mean, like,
Yeah.
that's the way it is. And that's okay. I have no problem with it. And personal life gets jumbled in between it all. And that's kind of the way it is.
Do you feel that you've become a little bit more of a persona? Like, do you ever feel like you're lost in Dr. B world, or do you accept that you are Dr. B? Can you separate the Alex and Dr. B, or you're that one person now?
I'm not one person, I think.
Yeah. So are people looking to date Dr. B? And are you worried they're only dating you for
Your
the Botox?
artistry
My
skills.
Botox.
And
uh,
it's a good, it's a nice
I mean,
little,
listen, there's plenty of really eligible bachelors out there. Like, I mean, I'm also in Manhattan. It's not like I'm in Miami where like I go to Miami,
okay.
sure. I'm like probably a little bit more eligible than being in Manhattan where there's tons of really smart people, tons of great looking people
Hmm.
that are well spoken, well versed, and have their own stuff going on. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like I like to think I'm a hot commodity, but who knows? I don't know. I'm just out here. I'm just out here like everybody else.
You're just out here living
Yeah.
life. and
Oh,
running your
well,
show.
I know we got a little bit left to go, so we're going to get right into Nosh of the Day. Nosh of the Day is where
Ooh,
we share our favorite recipes or our favorite restaurants of the moment, or we hate
okay.
on some restaurants that didn't work out for
I
us. Okay.
cannot
Oh,
publicly hate on this restaurant. I can't.
Well, okay. So Liz, you start it, and then I'll
okay.
go, and then we're going to
We'll
finish
give
with Alex.
Dr. B time to think about it. Okay. Mine is, and I just went to it over the weekend, Miriam's in Brooklyn. It's this Israeli spot. I love it. They have a great Israeli breakfast. It's labna, it's eggs, it's Israeli salad. It's a fun vibe. You can sit outside.
Shakshuka, whatever.
What's it
Shakshuka. They
called?
had like Miriam.
It's also on the Upper West Side on like Amsterdam and
Sounds
71st near the
familiar.
beach.
Yeah, it's great. You should
Been
go.
around for a while.
Yeah. All right,
Mi-
Jason, what's yours?
Mine is Delight Bistro on Key Biscayne. It is a new discovery of mine. They have everything from cauliflower pizza to
Oh,
acai bowls, and
yep.
everything's organic and wild, and it's really good, and it's a good scene. It's a good vibe.
So let me guess, you're going to be there every day, all
That's
day
right,
long.
until I'm sick of it, and then I'll move on to the next. I tend to overdo it and then get rid of it. That's how it works.
So
All right, Dr. B, what's
I'm gonna
yours?
do a hot negative take.
Oh,
Yeah.
By the way, this will be our first negative, so we're very excited
oh,
for
This is
that.
gonna break some barriers here. This is one of my
Well,
this is one of my favorite restaurants, and they have gone
oh,
so downhill in New York.
no.
I ate there on Saturday at 10
Okay.
p.m. last serving.
Oh,
Okay, and I ate there in Miami recently too, and it's Hillstone. I yeah.
Alex, no, Dr. B, I
I'm
don't.
not gonna lie, I also heard the
Oh,
same thing. I also heard the
The
same
one
thing
in
from another.
Manhattan, the one in Manhattan, I email the
love it.
manager and
I
say
love
that I
it.
like their restaurant so much. I want to see if they can fix it because I'm afraid they're going to go out of business. That's how
Is this
bad
What?
it
the
was.
33rd and Park?
Yeah,
33rd and Park?
27 in Park. Yeah.
I work right by there. I love what happened to it.
I
And it is a
haven't
little different.
had I have not had a really good meal there in 3 or 4 visits, and I really like Hillstone.
Ugh,
In
that's
Miami, I
heartbreaking.
just went and it was
Which one do you go to? I go to
the
the Bal
Gables.
Harbor one.
Well, the Bell
Uh,
Harbor one's fantastic. I know the Bell
All right, we got to get into it. What's your order? Let's hear it. I'm the French dip.
um,
French dip.
French
Love it.
dip all day.
Real au
really, I
jus,
like the
dog.
ahi too.
Real au
That's
jus.
so
I like the
What do you like?
I like the nigiri plate.
cool. I haven't
Not
tried.
all Hillstones have sushi, by the way.
I think now they do. So I also go to the Houston's in Aventura, and that one has added. We could really dive deep on this, but that one has added
We'll
sushi,
do
and
a
I'm like,
whole episode on
That was
Hillstone,
why it's my
Houston.
hot take. I was like,
"Yeah,
I'm kind of like, it was kind of like gross in there, to be honest.
oh
Like
no,
the one in
Oh,
Miami, I feel great about. I'll go any day of the
yeah,
week.
well, we are smearing up a storm on Hillstone.
Aaron.
All right,
Okay, can
it's
we go
time for
into
this and that. Time for
yes?
this and that.
Okay,
Liz, you take it? Take it.
no, okay, all right. Ready, Dr. B? Botox or filler?
Botox,
Hmm. Lip flip or full pout?
full pal,
Okay. Early riser or night owl? Although you answered this
night
already.
owl.
Lasers or peels? I'm taking so many notes, by the way. I'm gonna have to watch this and then go back. All right, quarterly tune-up or once a year overhaul?
Quarterly tune-up.
Okay. Deplane facelift or skincare routine?
Oof. I don't know. Skincare routine's more obtainable.
Okay, fine. Ice roller or hot latte?
I don't do hot lattes. We're all ice, so we're gonna go ice roller.
Agreed. Ice coffee year round, it's a lifestyle. SPF every day or just on beach and boat days?
I'm not as a firm believer in SPF as the rest of
This
the
is a hot
universe
take.
is. Um,
Hmm.
I'm okay with a little sun.
All
Yep.
Okay,
right, I
true
love
or
it.
false? When we go to Key Biscayne to sun our taints, are we putting SPF on or no?
I stay away from the taints, but hey, you know,
Do your thing. Oh my God,
You advocate
guys.
for them. Okay.
I don't know where the okay, two more. Natural and subtle or snatch and sculpted.
I'm snatch and sculpted.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Nose tweak or brow lift.
That's tough. Nose tweak.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, okay,
All
these are
right.
good.
Thank you for playing this and that. So our last segment is Mitzvah of the Day. We do a Mitzvah of the Day every episode where we say a good deed to pass it along. Today, we would like to look someone in the eyes and give them a real compliment. And it's not about their outfit, but more about them. Remember, kindness is the best filler.
I like that one.
I like that.
And
Well, Alex, Dr. B, thank you for joining us on today's episode of Hustle and Schmear.
Amazing. Thank you.
Liz, Dr. B, please read us out.
Okay. Remember, the hustle is real.
Oh. The schmear is extra.